Hey guys, what's up? It's Fern. Thank you so much for joining me for another Planty video. I'm very excited because today I'm going to be sharing with you a bunch of plants in my collection that I was not expecting to love, but that I absolutely fell in love with. So these are all plants that I basically was not intending to buy. They had never been on my wish list or anything like that, but I ended up with them in one way or another. And now I love them very much, and I will obviously talk about them all individually and explain to you why. I would also love to hear about plants that you were not expecting to love so much that you have, so make sure you leave me a comment down below. I would love to chat with you. Okay, so let's hop into the first one on my list. Now this is like the main big one that I think about when I'm thinking about this topic, because I really had no desire to get this plant at all. I ended up with it, and now it's one of my top favorite plants of all time. And many of you may already know this, and it is the silver sword philodendron, or Philodendron hastatum. I only have cuttings right now. If you haven't seen my video where I completely chopped up my plant, go check that out. But yes, this used to be a somewhat large actually plant that I completely chopped up. I just have these 4 cuttings rooting in water. They aren't really doing anything yet besides this little, there's like a little nub coming out there, but other than that they aren't really doing anything. Anyways, that's besides the point. So I have these cuttings rooting, and then I have 2 containers of wet sticks, so I'm hoping that one day I'm gonna have a full plant again. But as I'm talking, I'll insert footage of, or photos of, my silver sword plants in the past, because I have had 2. They were both phenomenal, and it is a philodendron. This is like one of my for sure top 5 philodendron. I just love it so much. I love silver plants in general. I think that this is what kind of made me fall in love with silver plants, actually. It's very strange that I just had no desire to get this plant before. It's so incredibly beautiful. I do think that this is a plant that you need to see in person. It looks great in photos, but you can't appreciate like its full beauty. It's just so unique. The color of the leaves, you guys, like it's like none other. They are becoming more commonly available in plant shops now, which is freaking awesome. I think that everybody should have one. If you don't like this plant, let me know, because I'm genuinely curious. To me, I'm just like, what's not to love? But it's funny because, of course, it is a plant that I had no desire or interest in before I actually saw it. So I received this plant. It was actually this plant, different cuttings from this plant that I've chopped up. It's confusing. But it was this plant that I originally received. It was like 1 or 2 cuttings of, and I remember just like staring at it and I was like, wow, like I didn't expect philodendron silver sword to be so pretty. So I was sent these cuttings from my friend Courtney. That's how I ended up with them, and then I fell in love after that. I do have a whole video on philodendron silver sword, and it features my old big beautiful one that I parted with. It's probably my biggest plant regret of plants that I've gotten rid of. I don't normally regret like selling or giving away my plants, but I do regret selling that one. But I had to downsize because I was moving. Anyways, yes, that is plant number 1. Let's move on to number 2. Okay, so the second plant. This is actually another one that I ended up with cuttings from a friend. That's probably how I got a lot of the plants on this list, actually. But it is none other than my Stapelia Grandiflora. Now listen, you guys, I know a lot of people aren't really into succulents, but this one, just hear me out. I was so shook when I got this because, you guys, it is soft, like fuzzy. A fuzzy, tall little succulent like this. By the way, I'm just talking about this plant. This one is a hitchhiker in here, but yes, this is the Stapelia. These 3, boop, 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 so freaking cute. I'm obsessed with it. First of all, I got this as cuttings, rooted up super easily. It's also extremely easy to care for. It goes squishy when it's thirsty, so it's so easy to tell when it needs water. This thing has grown 2 of these arms for me. I actually cut this one off and propagated it, another new plant, so very easy to grow, to propagate, to care for, definitely beginner friendly. I couldn't get over the fact that it was so soft when I first got it, so that's what really like piqued my interest in it. I was like, okay, this is not what I expected. This is just something a little bit different and cool. I'm just noticing that the tips of this one are yellow. Do you see that? What does that mean? I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. Also, what's really cool about this plant are the blooms. It gets these crazy looking blooms and they smell bad, which I love. I can't wait until it blooms. It hasn't bloomed for me. I haven't even had it for a full year. I enjoy it a lot without it even blooming. So once it blooms, I'm honestly just going to lose it because that's going to be the coolest thing ever. I love when my plants bloom, any of them. I grow this under my mother grow light. It is a succulent, so it does appreciate like a higher amount of light. So if you have like a southwest, even an east, it would probably do fine facing window. Just give it as much light as you can and I'm sure it'll be happy. I can't wait to update you guys because I feel like I'm gonna get more growth on this this summer. And of course, whenever it blooms, hopefully that will be sometime soon-ish, I will let you guys know. I just think it'd be so cool to have like a full pot of this one day, so I'll probably keep propagating this and growing it until I can repot it into a bigger planter and just have, it'll just be a vibe, like a whole nice terracotta pot full of this. If you're looking for a succulent, an easy succulent to add into your collection, this is probably my second favorite after the bear paw succulent. Yeah, I just love this so much and I feel like nobody really has it, so if you have one, let me know because I just think that they're so awesome. Okay, this next one, you guys already know, but I will take seriously any opportunity to show this plant off and to talk about it, and that is my Philodendron painted lady. I am so shook at the size of her. Can you guys believe it? She's massive. Look, she's already almost up her moss pole. This is her newest leaf that's just hardening off this week. She's always working on a new leaf. She actually has a baby plant coming in as well down here, if you can see that. It's like a separate offshoot growing. She's just so incredible. So I received this actually in the same, I received it along with the Philodendron silver sword cutting. So I got these both as just like small cuttings and I've been growing this. It's been about coming up to a year and a half now. So I can't believe that I grew this from a small single, it had like 1 or 2 leaves, small cutting. And now this is what it is. So that really speaks for itself. It's a really hardy, easy to grow plant, definitely loves to climb. And it was just something that was not on my radar at all. Like I didn't really get the hype and I feel like that's it's kind of understandable because photos don't really do it justice. Like seeing the pattern of variegation on its leaves is definitely something that you need to see in person. Let's see if my camera will even focus so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. Look at how pretty, look at that. She is just so pretty. She has like this beautiful yellow variegation, even like some darker green spots get in there. And then I really love the pink petioles, like the contrast between all the different colors on this plant is just phenomenal. I love her so much. The variegation changes depending on the type of lighting that you give it. So right now she is also under my mother plant spectrum grow light, so she's getting a ton of light, so she's coming out very yellowy and I love it so much. Yeah, every time she's working on a new leaf I just get so excited to see it. These are like, they're not super common, but they're not like pricey rare either. Like I feel like most people can come across these for a reasonable price or for a trade or something. So if you ever do, I definitely recommend getting one. I love they kind of have a similar leaf shape to the silver sword once they get mature as well. Like they get more of this like rounded lobe leaf, which I'm just so excited to see on mine. The younger leaves don't really have that as much. Like they're just kind of like that. Yeah, I actually find this plant to be quite similar to the Philodendron silver sword, just like different coloring. It's like same plant, different font. So yeah, love her so much. I hope that you guys don't get tired of seeing her. Okay, you guys, my next one is also a cutting from a plant friend, and I'm pretty sure that all of the plants on this list are cuttings from plant friends, so shout out to my plant friends and get yourself some good plant friends. Okay, so the next one is my Tanantylaverciana. Look at how large she is. She is just constantly growing. It is so wild. She just put out like 4 new leaves. Yeah, this plant is absolutely a dream. I grew this from a couple cuttings as well, rooted them in water, potted it up. She's actually potted in pon. I did pot her in a plant drawers. Let's try to take a look and see if we can see any roots or anything yet, because I did recently repot her into this larger. Yes! There are roots. Okay, you can see them. Look at that. So satisfying. Yeah, this plant loves being in pon, and I love it for this plant as well because it's just so easy to care for. and she just keeps growing like a beast, so we're just rolling with it. Yeah, this is a plant that I'd seen it in plant shops and I just had never really gravitated towards it. Since it's a Ctenanthe, but it's in the same like family as Calathea, and Calathea can be very difficult. So I thought that maybe it would be a little bit more tricky, but you guys, this plant is way easier than a Calathea. If you struggle with Calathea, but you love the look of these like beautiful painted leaves that plants in that family have, try a Ctenanthe. There are several different varieties, and in my experience they're so much easier. This plant, it could probably be in better condition. I did let it get too dry a few times, which is a no-no, but it didn't really do too badly. It just has some like crispy leaves. Like I could definitely invest more energy into caring for this plant to have it looking even better, which I probably should because I do love it so much, but it's kind of one of those plants that can handle some neglect, so I just end up giving it some neglect, you know. I'm sure we all have some plants like that. But yeah, I just feel like Ctenanthe do not get enough love after experiencing growing a couple of them. Yeah, I feel like more people need these in their homes, and these can get massive, you guys, like very large. Sometimes plant shops will have large versions of them just like in the store, and it's really cool to see. So I'm excited to see how big this plant is going to grow for me. Also just beautiful with that lime green variegation on it. So pretty. Okay, so I do have one plant on our list that was not a cutting from a plant friend. This is actually sent to me from Botanicas. I have a whole unboxing, but I consider Botanicas a plant friend. So, okay, as you can see, it is none other than my Monstera obliqua, which I'm so obsessed with this plant, you guys. It is so pretty and has been so easy for me to grow. I know I have said this multiple times. That's a leaf that's just hardening off, the newest one. Incredible. So yeah, this is a plant that I had never had on a wish list or anything like that. I know that this is on a lot of people's wish lists, but I think that part of the reason I never wanted it was because I didn't think that it would ever be possible for me to have one, just because of how unattainable these were. But lo and behold, I got one, and now I am completely obsessed with it. I was so scared that it was gonna croak on me. I think that this is probably part of the reason that I never really desired one, because I assumed and I had heard that they were very finicky, difficult to care for. You would breathe on them and they would die, but mine has been nothing but tough and easy to grow. So I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, it honestly brings me so much joy. It's so pretty. I love the growth pattern, and the leaves, obviously, very unique. Yeah, I just really, even when I received it, I did not expect to like it as much as I do, but I've just enjoyed growing this so much. I'm so thankful that Botanicas was kind enough to send this to me. That was so freaking nice of them. They sent me some really awesome plants, and this is definitely one that I just appreciate so much. Okay, so the next one, another cutting from plant friend. This is one that you guys have recently seen because we propagated it together not long ago, and that is my String of Hearts Silver Glory. This is what it looks like. Show you. Oh, these are nice leaves. Here's a good example of what the leaves look like. I get comments, and I know a lot of people wonder if there is really a difference between the regular String of Hearts and the String of Hearts Silver Glory, because I know that the regular String of Hearts can get very silver, especially with high light, and I personally used to think that there was no difference and it was just like a scam, but after owning this, I can honestly say that there's definitely a difference, and it's not only in the coloring, like the silverness, but it's also the leaf shape. Like this one has more of a kidney bean kind of leaf shape, whereas the regular String of Hearts has more of just like that classic heart shape, more of like the spade look. So in my opinion, they are definitely different plants, and I guess because I had that mentality and I already had a regular String of Hearts, it was just never something that I was looking for. I was always like kind of intrigued, like wondering if there was actually a difference, especially once I started getting more into silver plants. But yeah, I'm so glad that I got this because it's so beautiful, and there's definitely a difference. And I'm really just obsessed with the contrast of the silver and the deep purple backs. Like, it is so freaking pretty. I'm really determined to grow this out to be a large plant. I do have my propagations potted on this side of the pot. I need to water this again soon, actually. But yeah, if you've ever like waffled or debated or questioned whether String of Hearts Silver Glory is worth it, I would definitely say it is worth it to grow, and to recommend you either buy a cutting or do a trade with somebody. Definitely a really cool plant to grow, especially if you're into these string ofs and trailing plants, which I love trailing plants, so I'm very happy to have this in my collection as well. I do have mine hanging in my south-facing window. If you're wondering, I also have my regular String of Hearts hanging on the other side of the window. They're literally hanging by command hooks though, so I will only be able to keep them up there while they're small. Okay, so the next plant I'm going to talk about, I'm not able to move and bring to the camera. It's like my only plant in my collection that I can't really move, and it is my Monstera dubia, so I will insert footage. I've talked about this before, I know. So it is currently growing up a moss plank, and this is another plant that I received as a cutting, as a gift, and I remember thinking it was cool, but I didn't really understand, like, I had never had a shingling plant, so I was very confused as to like how to care for it. I didn't really know what to do with it. I definitely thought it was just gonna die. Like, I remember thinking that I wasn't gonna be able to care for it and it was just gonna die because I just didn't have the experience. So I rooted it, potted it up, and then it just completely took off, you guys. Like, this thing was putting out vines, different separate vines everywhere like crazy. It was growing up my cabinet. It was just doing the most. So I eventually ended up building the moss plank and moving it to that. And now it's so satisfying to watch it start climbing up that moss plank, you guys. This is like in my top things that bring me joy in my plant collection right now. It's so exciting seeing new leaves in general. I'm sure that we all can relate to that. But watching this plant climb and like shingle is just, it's so miraculous. So if you do not have a shingling plant, I mean, I'm partial to Monstera dubia. It's the only one that I have, and I just love how the leaves get so much bigger and completely change as they mature. I definitely recommend it, and they are becoming a lot more available and more common now, which I think is awesome. You can grow them on planks. You can do the moss plank. There's all different types of ways that you can have this plant shingling. Now I'm just so excited to see if I can get those mature leaves on my plant. Can you guys imagine? Like, that would be so cool just to watch this plant change form so much. I'm so excited. Alright, so that is all the plants that I had to share with you. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and make sure you are subscribed to my channel for more planty content. Alright, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!